Almost that time of year again, the dreaded day we all know as Halloween. Americans spend an estimated $6 billion a year on Halloween, making it the country's second largest commercial holiday after Christmas. A quarter of all annual candy sales occur during the Halloween season, and statistics show that 73% of Americans celebrate Halloween. Is it that people genuinely don't know the real truth about Halloween? Or that they don't care? Because for all I know, it's a satanic holiday. Either way, I'm going to break it all down in this video. Let's go. Halloween itself comes from an ancient Celtic pagan festival called Samhain. It was celebrated from October 31st to November 1st to welcome in the harvest and usher in the dark half of the year. The Celts believed that the barriers between the physical world and the spirit world broke down during Samhain, allowing more interaction between people and the underworld. It was expected that ancestors might cross over during this time as well, and Celts would dress as animals and monsters so that fairies were not tempted to kidnap them. Ancient Celts marked Samhain as the most significant of their 4 quarterly fire festivals, basically a ritual to the sun. They also had a tradition called Dumb Supper during this time, where food was consumed by celebrants, but only after inviting ancestors to join in, giving the families a chance to interact with the spirits until they left following dinner. Children would play games to entertain the dead, while adults would update the dead on the past year's news. That night, doors and windows might be left open for the dead to come in and eat cakes that had been left for them. Isn't it odd that there is a feast on the Catholic holiday called All Souls Day? We'll talk more about that as we go. As Christianity gained a foothold in pagan communities in early AD, church leaders attempted to reframe Samhain as a Christian celebration. The first attempt was by Pope Boniface in the 5th century. He moved the celebration to May 13th and specified it as a day celebrating saints and martyrs. The fire festivals of October and November, however, did not end with this decree. In the 9th century, Pope Gregory moved the celebration back to the time of the fire festivals, but declared it All Saints' Day on November 1st. All Souls' Day would follow on November 2nd. But neither new holiday did away with the pagan aspects of the celebration. October 31st became known as All Hallows' Eve, or Halloween, and contained much of the traditional pagan practices of the Celtic people. All Hallows' Eve is also on the Catholic calendar, a day of prayer and fasting in preparation for All Saints' Day. By the end of the Middle Ages, the secular and sacred days had merged. So is Catholicism partly to blame for the celebration of Halloween, and the reason so many Christians are okay celebrating it? Yes, but it also came from Irish and Scottish immigrants who came to America in the 1800s and brought their pagan traditions with them. So, the different Halloween traditions, where do they come from? Trick-or-treating comes from an All Souls Day tradition. All Souls Day is celebrated by Catholics and a growing number of Protestants on November 2nd. On All Souls Day in England, people would give out pastries in exchange for prayers for dead relatives, essentially doing a special favor for souls in purgatory. So many things controversial about that, but nonetheless, that's where the tradition roots from. There was also an Irish tradition called mumming, the practice of putting on costumes, going door to door, and singing songs to the dead. Cakes were given as payment. Orange and black, the colors of Halloween, they are significant in paganism. In pagan harvest celebrations, orange symbolizes crops and black symbolizes the death of summer. But you can go broader than that. The fire festivals of Samhain. Fire is orange, and the festivals were done in the dark. How about masks and costumes? During Samhain, the ancient Celtic people wore costumes, typically animal heads and skins. And as I mentioned earlier, it was a tradition for the ancient Celtic people to wear masks to avoid being recognized by ghosts. And to go down that rabbit hole a little further, the etymology of the word mask is medieval Latin from a word meaning witch. Jack-o'-lanterns. In the Middle Ages, scary faces were carved into turnips and potatoes to ward off evil spirits. Halloween pranks also have a tradition in Samhain, though in the ancient celebration, tricks were typically blamed on fairies. Black cats are a common Halloween costume. What's the significance of black cats during Halloween? Black cats were believed by the Druids to be evil spirit friends of witches and even witches themselves. These cats were often kept in wicker cages and burned in animal sacrifices. Apple bobbing probably comes from the Roman festival of Pomona, the goddess of fruit and trees. This festival was merged with the festival of Samhain after Rome conquered Britain. In honor of Samhain, subjects were forced to bob for apples in boiling hot water. Those who lived through this ordeal were set free. Halloween parties became popular roughly around the 1920s and 1930s. Parades and town-wide Halloween parties were held across America. This was in response to growing concerns about vandalism. Young people engaging in various Halloween pranks such as doorbell ditching, flipping over cars, and sawing off telephone poles. So the parades and parties, as well as haunted houses, were designed to keep them busy. Due to the high numbers of young children during the baby boom in the 1950s, parties moved from town civic centers into the classroom or the home. Bonfires come from Samhain, of course. To commemorate Samhain, Druids built huge sacred bonfires where the people gathered to burn crops and animals as sacrifices to the Celtic deities. Telling scary stories also has roots in Samhain. Stories and myths were told during the festival about Celtic gods who battled in the underworld and came out victorious. It may seem like harmless fun to dress up in a costume and go trick-or-treating, but this whole holiday is rooted in paganism. It's practically a party with Satan. Nothing about Halloween glorifies God. We are called to not only disassociate with Halloween, but to shed light on its true meaning. Ephesians 5:11-16. Have nothing to do with the fruitless deeds of darkness, but rather expose them. It is shameful even to mention what the disobedient do in secret, but everything exposed by the light becomes visible, and everything that is illuminated becomes a light. This is why it is said, "Wake up, sleeper, rise from the dead, and Christ will shine on you." Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity because the days are evil. Evil is becoming more and more normalized, and Halloween is just a small part of that. Be very careful how you live.